be. Could you just go look through that camera and see what you can see? Well, I'm going old school now. I didn't have a smaller book. Here she is.
He actually pledged himself to Mary, Queen of Scots.
Yay! No, let's not get into that.
Alright, sorry.
Okay, you just stick to the knitting, love.
It's like an abominable. I can't say that word.
Abominable. Abominable. Ah, right.
Give Mummy a clap, Bryony. She actually got it right. After take 4001.
That's not true.
Welcome to Favourite Places to Knit. How exciting is the Hunt for Harry Potter Part 3?
Yes.
Yes, can you believe it? And we're here at Alnwick Castle.
Oh.
Now, this has been owned by the same family for 700 years. And it's very much, this was the front line for about 300 or 400 years between England and Scotland. And the King of England would, or the Queen, of course, if it was Queen Elizabeth, would pay the Earl of Alnwick to garrison the whole of the border and protect us from the Scots. And I think it's amazing. And actually, as well, the other really cool thing about this place is, whilst they don't live here all the time, it still is considered inhabited. They stopped living here because the amount of people who come visit, and we're going to find out why a little bit later on. But it's the second largest inhabited castle in England. What's the first one?
Well, I'm guessing it's Windsor.
Yes! I would say you can have a bonus point for knit or forfeit, but no, you can't, because your knit or forfeit score is insanely high already. So no. But yes, this is Alnwick Castle. We are in Northumberland, but this isn't just Alnwick Castle.
No.
Because it's also Brancaster.
Brancaster Castle. Was it called Castle? Brancaster Castle. Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Or maybe
in
you're
Downton Abbey.
And who was the lord here? Cinderby, wasn't it?
Lord Cinderby.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a real famous shot of them walking, isn't there? Around that way and then looking across that Alnwick. It was also used in the movie Elizabeth with Kate Blanchett.
Oh.
It was used in Blackadder. The
it?
first series of Blackadder. There's lots of things with Blackadder going in and out through that gate. It was also used in Henry V, the movie with Kenneth Branagh. The list is absolutely enormous. But of course, it's Hogwarts.
It's Hogwarts.
So
And Harry and his friends walked out of the main gate. If you remember the scene in The Philosopher's Stone, walked out of the main gate when they went down to see Hagrid in his cottage when they were asking about Fluffy, the dog, three-headed dog. But actually, Hagrid's cottage was actually in Scotland.
it's in Glencoe in Scotland.
Yeah.
So it's
they
about
walked out of here,
200 miles in that direction.
yeah, walked out of here, and 200 miles later they were at Hagrid's cottage.
But of course, they would come down there, and
Yeah.
actually, in the world of Harry Potter, Hagrid's cottage
It
is
was
just
kind of
literally.
over
We're not
there.
far. We're not
Yeah,
far. We could go
yeah.
see him now. Let's go and explore. Alnwick Castle arrived on the landscape of Northumberland thanks to the Norman conquest. They had arrived in 1066 and claimed the English throne, but to truly conquer was to control. So they set about moving northwards through England, building castles as they went. And so in the 12th century, the first owner of Alnwick began building his fortress. This land was the Great Alnwick Barony, and the castle was its headquarters, but it sat in highly dangerous land bordering England and Scotland. 200 years pass, and we now lie at the time of that great Hollywood movie Braveheart. As we know, if you've seen the film, armies of the Scots or English would regularly push out into each other's countries, conquering land and claiming it for their own. So the castle, or any castle that lay in lands such as this, would need to be in the perfect position and be extremely strong. And that's what Alnwick Castle is. It's set naturally high up on a what we call a bluff. It's protected by the hill, which is the bluff, and then beyond that you have the river, which you can see just over the wall there, which is protecting one side. That means then that you would only need to build a large wall on the remaining sides of the castle, so it makes it much easier to protect. Now, a loyal knight appears who grew rich fighting in many battles for the King of England. His name was Henry Percy, and with his earnings he bought a home for his family. Yes, he purchased Alnwick Castle. And here it is from above, and we're going to enter through that gatehouse there. There's only two on the castle, and here it is. Now, it was greatly modified by Henry Percy in 1309. He added two great hexagonal towers, and they were installed each side of that gateway to add protection and strength. But of course it is the Middle Ages, and size means power, and Henry Percy needed to show he had great power, as this was effectively no man's land. Directly in front of us is the keep. That's the main stronghold of the castle, and it's effectively the home that Henry Percy bought for his family, and it's actually where they still live to this day. To our right lies the Inner Bailey, and we're going to have a closer look at this. Here it is later on in the show. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a little tour around the castle. We're going to have a good look at this keep. Now, we're now stood actually the opposite side of the castle in the Outer Bailey, and we can see the castle chapel there directly in front of us and make out many of the other state rooms. But only the family, their servants and their guests would spend any quality time within these walls. The knights and foot soldiers, the majority of the people who would pass through this area of the castle, would have spent the majority of their time looking up and wondering, as we do, what's going on inside. Now, whilst this land is grass now and it looks empty, a survey from 1538 tells us in the Outer Bailey, where we were stood looking up at the castle, just over there now, here we go, here's the Outer Bailey, there was a bakehouse, a brewhouse, a military storeroom, cart sheds and stabling for 160 horses. That is a lot of horses. Moving around even further, we stood on the terrace, and like many Norman castles, as we've said earlier on, a river protects one side and it negates the need for a protected wall. And this would have been an area then that would have been used by the Earl and his wife, where they could have walked and looked out across their land beyond. And this was land that was going to be landscaped in hundreds of years in the future by a man called Lancelot Capability Brown, and we'll talk more about this in part 2. Now, of course, Alnwick is surrounded by a curtain wall, and it was garrisoned by its soldiers day and night. It also provides us with a wonderful view of the Inner Bailey, which was just as bustling as the Outer Bailey. Once there was a garden here, a school, a chantry. Yes, this area of the castle was much more of the household's part, where they could get outside, because again, you have to remember that this is extremely dangerous land, and so you can't just go wandering through the countryside because you could be caught by marauding Scots or brigands. So land was always surrounded by this huge curtain wall that we're stood on now. You can see as well, if anyone did come across that river, archers would have been stood up here and you'd have had no chance. And this was a trait of Norman castles. They would always look to build them in positions like this to give them that military advantage. Now this spot should look very familiar to you. A certain female professor walking down this path on her way to chastise a certain young boy who's just started at a school, and then she's going to introduce him to the captain of his Quidditch team. We'll find out a little bit more about this in just a moment. The castle, Alnwick, is just full of locations which you will recognise from so many different films. The first one to actually come here to film was Beckett with Richard Burton and Peter O'Toole. It's an amazing film. Very quickly followed by Mary Queen of Scots with Vanessa Redgrave and Glenda Jackson, and so many more that followed. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves used part of the grounds for Maid Marian's home. Elizabeth with Kate Blanchett and Geoffrey Rush from 1998, and then so many TV programmes as well. We've mentioned Blackadder already. Also, The Virgin Queen was a very famous TV programme, and so many more. What we're going to do though is pick some of our favourites. And have you guessed what professor I was talking about? Have you guessed what happened in this very famous spot? I think we should go and find out, don't you?
Yes, this is Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and this angle should look very familiar to you. And actually, in the background there is a broomstick lesson going on. Yes, they're learning how to ride their broomsticks. This is where that famous scene happened. Who was the teacher who taught the broomstick lessons?
Teacher called?
They can't remember.
Madame Hooch? Was it Madame Hooch? Right, she's saying yes.
Oh, right, okay. Is it? Are you sure? Yeah. All right, okay. You think?
Yeah.
Do you people like Harry Potter or not? So behind us there is where that famous scene happened, where they had their first lesson, but also as well it's where Wood taught Harry Potter.
I like Wood, he's nice.
Good. See, I knew that name. Look, that actually looks, can you see over there, Bryony? Can you see that? That looks like one of those French baker bikes, doesn't it? Because they used to ride along with baguettes
and broomsticks.
Yeah. So this is probably the most famous area of the castle, I think, other than the quadrangle bit over there, which we'll look at later on in the tour. But lots of places to explore, so let's get exploring.
In 1989, Kenneth Branagh came here with Henry V, the movie that he released that won so many Oscars. I remember seeing it in a history lesson at school. It was a really realistic movie, and I remember feeling quite ill in some of the battle scenes because they were so well portrayed. And it's on that ground down there that the Battle of Agincourt, some of the scenes for that were shot. And if you watch the film and then look at some of this footage, you will recognise what you're seeing. But it's the magic of Harry Potter that brings so many thousands of visitors here every year. Now we're just looking at one of the stairways up to the curtain wall, and we're going to pan around to another of the really famous locations from Alnwick Castle, from Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Can you guess what it is? I shall tell you. It's the famous crash of the Ford Anglia, and we were trying to work out how they did it, but it was obviously it was CGI that put the Weeping Willow in. But this is where that Ford Anglia crashed. But when you have such a historically significant castle in such an outstanding setting, it's obvious you're going to get an awful lot of historical dramas coming here. And more recently, in fact it was last year, The Hollow Crown with Benedict Cumberbatch and so many other famous people shot right here. Joan of Arc fighting English soldiers. And here is our very own Joan of Arc for a little bit of knitting.
So here we are having a knit in Hogwarts. Can you believe it, Bryony? Dumbledore likes knitting, doesn't he?
He does.
So maybe he used to sit in his office up there, looking down,
knitting on the sock,
having a knit. Do we ever know anything that he knits?
I don't think so, but somebody will correct me, because I honestly don't recall him saying what he was knitting specifically.
Right. I think though it's time to find out. Kay Jones, what's on your needles?
Gosh, I didn't realise we were going to do that. I've just brought a sock that I've shown before, so it's just fairly boring.
It's not boring.
Is it not?
No, because what's the yarn? He's
Well,
actually
it's-
looking. He's looking down at us.
Who
There's
is?
his turban.
Oh,
What's the yarn?
sorry, my bag just nearly blew off. It's Quirrels Secret.
Aha.
I dyed up this yarn.
Briley, can you see Professor Quirrell?
Is he looking
He's
out
there.
one of the windows?
Second window down. You see? Oh, he's gone.
So this is my sock. I'm still on the gusset decreases. I've been distracted by many things lately, but I thought I'd bring this with me just to get a bit done on it. So I'm just not far off finishing the gusset decreases, and then I'll just whiz down. Normally, once I've finished those, I tend to sort of whiz through the rest of the sock fairly quickly. So I'm hoping that's the case with this one. And I did a garter-edged slip stitch heel, which I really like actually. I think it gives a really neat pickup. So that might become my new normal. Dan Jones.
Yes.
What's on yours?
Well, it's my recast on Declans hat.
Oh yeah.
I still haven't finished. That's about 2 inches, is it? Do you think?
No, it's about an inch.
No, it's
That's
not.
not 2 inches. That's never been 2 inches. Besides which, you have to knit to 3 inches.
Yeah, I've realised that, but
Oh,
that is
right.
more than an inch. That's over
That's
an inch.
not what-
Well, I can tell you now that's over an inch and a half because I measured that against the.
I don't think it's 2 inches. I haven't got anything with me to measure it.
Right.
but-
Well, okay.
Okay.
It's my Declans hat, and the yarn is the Kismet Fiber
Kismet,
Works.
that Amber gave us.
Abundant, which Amber gave us.
Thank you, Amber, for
Yes,
reminding me it
yes.
was you.
And
And they're not in production any longer. They don't dye anymore.
not at the
we
moment, no.
discovered.
Yeah, which is such a shame
So it
because
makes it even more precious, doesn't
the
it?
base is lovely.
Very nice.
it
I think
feels-
it's got a bit of cashmere in it, hasn't it?
Yeah, and the stitch definition is perfect.
It's lovely.
And everything about it, I do really like. I'm just looking forward to getting to the point where I was at before,
Yeah,
because that was highly frustrating.
yeah.
I'm enjoying this more now than I was before, I've got to say.
Right.
I don't know why.
What, before, when you knit it before?
No. I was just, the colour's a bit boring, and I was just
Yeah,
feeling
I
a bit.
get that.
But now I'm feeling a bit more. I don't know.
I think it'll make a beautiful hat, though. I know
Yeah.
that it's not a pretty coloured, variegated or tonal or hand spun, but I think it will make a lovely hat.
Yeah, I think so too, and I know that the person who's getting it will really appreciate it. So that is my lovely Declans hat, and I can't believe that over the course of this favourite places to knit that we've covered actually 3 counties.
Have we?
Yeah, because we've covered Derbyshire, and then we covered Yorkshire with Ghostland, and then now of course we're in Northumberland.
What was Derbyshire?
Oh, Derbyshire was Hardwick.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Malfoy Towers.
Of course.
So come back in part 2 when we'll go inside Hogwarts and explore all the amazing rooms. We're hoping it's going to be absolutely amazing. So we'll see you later on in the show.
Yay! So that was Hogwarts. Wow! And of course Brancaster as well, and a fight scene from Henry V, Agincourt with Kenneth Branagh,
Okay.
and also used in the Hollow Crayon recently with Benedict Cumberbatch. Although we've been playing a very cool game.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Yes, and you should try it too. It's where you have to take Benedict Cumberbatch
Yeah.
and you change it.
Yeah.
You move around
The letters.
the letters and the syllables, and
Yeah.
you come up with new
An
versions.
alternative.
We came up with Benedict Cumberbatch,
But then I found I was
but
in.
don't say what it says,
Why?
just in case she might see.
She won't.
She might.
She'll forget.
Oh,
I
okay.
need to say.
Right.
I saw a card in Paper Chase this weekend. I thought I've got to get this for someone for Christmas. I mean, it was just a generic card. Who loves Benedict Cumberbatch? I do struggle with his name. And
Hence
on the front
the
of
game.
it, there was a picture of him dressed up as, is he Sherlock Holmes?
Yeah.
Dressed up as Sherlock Holmes, but it was a cucumber, and it said Benedict Cumberbatch.
Which is funny
Had to get it.
because that
So
came
funny.
after we'd played the
I
game.
know, and we didn't get that one in the game.
Bryony and I have played the game many times, and then we've then subsequently played the game.
Yeah,
And
you have to be careful when playing the game
because
though.
you can sometimes come up with bad words. So those are not admissible. But it is a very, very fun game.
fun game.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you a question, and I could actually count the royal you here. So
okay.
you can answer,
Right.
but you can also answer as well if you like. Leave a message in the in any of the threads, and in particular, you might want to leave a message in the What's on Your Stereo thread, because the question I was going to ask you was: does music ever move you? I don't mean as in crying. I mean, do you ever get stirred
Yes.
in your stomach? Well, is it here
I go tingly.
on your fingertips?
No, all over. I go kind of like, I go like tingly. What's it? You know when
Prickly heat.
your hair stand on end?
Oh.
It's like that.
Right. What makes that happen?
Something. Well, I don't know. Just sometimes if I hear.
So there's nothing in particular you couldn't.
There's nothing in particular.
Put
No,
your
I mean,
finger on it.
Josh Groban, You Raise Me Up, always does it.
Yes.
I don't know. I'd have to think.
Right.
It's not a genre or anything like that.
See,
it could be anything.
This is where, sometimes when I sit down and I do playlists,
Yeah.
that's what I'm looking for when I do
Right.
those playlists. So what I'm talking about there is I sit down and I find all those songs that give you that feeling and then stick them in a playlist in the right order. The reason why I asked that question, and I'd love to know actually, it definitely does pick up, doesn't it, on the old favourite, What's on Your Stereo. So if there's anything, in fact, forget the What's on Your Stereo, what makes you go tingly?
Oh dear.
What music makes you go tingly? There's a question. I'd love to know, because everyone's different, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's like food
Yeah.
and different flavours and people enjoying different things.
No food makes you go tingling.
No, but that for me was the best analogy that I could think of.
Right.
But no food makes me go tingly, but I don't want to eat cauliflower cheese.
Well, that's not the same thing. That's the opposite.
Well, it is. There's certain things that you don't like. There's certain things that you do like. That's the reason why I use the food analogy. So I would love to know what are your things that absolutely get you every time. I know John Williams gets you.
He does.
Specifically, if you listen to the proper full Jurassic Park
Oh, it's brilliant.
theme,
Brilliant.
the full version, not just the theme. That is, to be fair, the majority of things that John Williams has written.
I would listen to him ahead of. I'm not really a classical music
But
sort
you
of
forget.
person.
No. You're wrong. And I tell you why you're wrong. Because he is classical music.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yes.
It's not classical music in the sense of like Rachmaninoff or
But I could play you things. Not that we ever would. But I could sit down and play you things that sound like the things that he sounds like, and that you'd go, oh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. I suppose he is a modern day Tchaikovsky or something equally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a few of those guys out there. I do worry, but that's for another time and a much longer conversation on who will take over from him with the whole Star Wars thing, because I have a feeling that might be the point when I start to disengage with the franchise. But the reason why I brought this up was, and I know that this wasn't your cup of tea at all, but the most musically inspiring and moving and everything thing that I've heard in about 10 years was, there was a prom, and it was a celebration of the music of Quincy Jones, and it was, I don't know if you can get it in other parts of the world. They might not be able to, because we can get it on iPlayer. That's how I watched it, because I actually didn't even know it was on. And then I actually went looking for the John Wilson prom, and John Wilson did 2 proms, and there was another one with singers.
Right.
So there was one with singers as well. But I went looking for the John Wilson prom, and I saw Quincy Jones, and I just thought, I'll give that a watch. My goodness. The orchestra was the Metropole Orkest, which I think they're based in the Netherlands, and the majority of the musicians are all from that part of the world as well, which was so interesting to because I've never listened to orchestras from that part of the world before. It blew my mind.
I know it did, and it really didn't do anything for me, I've got to say.
Hence
that's what
the food thing.
Yeah.
So certain people like certain things. If you have grown up listening to any of the music that Quincy Jones was involved with, like Michael Jackson or Frank Sinatra, Ashford and Simpson, I nearly did it again. I nearly called them Stead and Simpson. Yeah. And if you're from England, you will know.
Well, they're not around anymore, I don't think.
It's just wrong.
I think they all closed down, didn't they?
How depressing. We should open up a new one, but this time call it Ashford and Simpson.
Should do.
So please, I'd love to know what music makes you go tingly. And so we've already been to Hogwarts and we've already explored all the wonderful... I mean, it was a slightly extended, but because there was so much to explore, and we didn't even cover everything. But it was there was elements to it which were slightly disappointing, and those were primarily the fact that when we got on the inside, we couldn't film.
Couldn't even take photographs
don't worry,
on the inside.
Because I've done my utmost to make the tour of the inside feel like we were filming.
Yeah. And I'll just have my little rant about this, because we've been to a couple of places, only a couple, where they've not allowed where they've not allowed photographs or filming. Now, I totally get that you can't use flashes in there on your camera, because there's textiles and wallpaper and that bothers it. I totally get that. But these days, most people just take photos on their phones.
It's iPhones
and there's no
Androids.
Flashes, is there, on those?
9 times out of 10 there isn't, and even if there is, it's very easy to turn off.
Yeah. And Chatsworth completely allow it.
And it's also smartphone filming done the way that we do it is not obtrusive as well, because it's not like you've got a massive camera where you're going like this.
No, not at all. And the thing that gets me is people go to these places from all over the world, and they make special trips.
Yeah, imagine you've travelled from Central America, Japan, or
you see a lot of Japanese people
and
in
you get
stately
to Hogwarts.
homes. Yeah.
And then you get in the house.
You get in the house and you can't take a photo.
But not only that, there is security people with cameras all over the house.
There's signs all over, and it says, security cameras are watching you, kind of thing.
Relax, dudes.
And you've paid money to go into the house.
It's not cheap.
It isn't cheap. They're never cheap, and that's fine. These are huge buildings. They have to upkeep them, and I don't begrudge giving the money at all. However, what harm does it do taking photos? Non-flash photos.
I totally know what the answer is. I'm absolutely certain that.
I wonder what they would say.
They would say that the family want privacy in their home.
Well, they shouldn't allow people into their houses.
That's it.
Then.
They should keep it locked.
And
they shouldn't charge you money to let you in. That's where, because they want to take your money.
Yeah, they want it. Quite happy to take your money and in the gift shops.
The cake. And then also to eat it.
Absolutely. And I think if places like Chatsworth and loads of other places, Hardwick,
the list goes on.
Loads of other places that we've been that allow it, then it can't be a matter of them saying it would damage the inside, because no one would allow it if that was the case.
And at the end of the day, all those other places that we go to, they have people there to make sure that no one starts prodding things and going up. So
absolutely don't touch things. And
there was a feeling, wasn't there?
Fine.
There was a feeling in the house of it was an uneasy feeling.
It didn't. You
felt like you were being watched.
Yeah, it didn't have. I mean, I find Chatsworth to be a very friendly place and very welcoming, and a lot of other places are like that as well. But this didn't have quite that same feel. It was like Big Brother's watching you, And
so I'd be interested. What I've had to do is I've had to find. We've had to splice up part 2 with some outdoor bits where we're talking about the story. But then I've also found some pictures which do feel pretty high quality, and I hope they come across okay. So you can see that in part 2. But that's another reason why.
But we were very irked, weren't we?
Yes.
We were
for your sake, we wanted to. Take you in and show you around. What we needed, I tell you what we needed. Who was it who showed Harry Potter around in the films? We needed a tour from them.
Percy, you mean?
Is it?
I think it's Percy.
Right.
Yeah.
And he is who? He's the eldest brother.
Yes, I believe Percy's the eldest brother, isn't he?
Because he's the guy, isn't he, who takes them round the tour on the inside. And that's what we needed. We needed someone to come along with a magic wand and get rid of all the guards and show us the staircases. Yes. That
move, no.
So part 2's coming later in the show. And don't worry though, what we've put together, I think you're going to love, because you're going to see what's in the inside.
Yes.
Because that's the other crazy thing. If you want to find photos, you can actually. It's not difficult. So it's not
No, and we bought a guidebook, and obviously they want people to buy the guidebooks with the photos in.
That might be another reason.
Yeah. It's just a money spinning thing, isn't it? It had that feel. That's quite a good way of saying, actually.
How much was the jumpers?
In the shop, they had quite a lot of Harry Potter stuff, and they had some woolen jumpers.
Here you go. Have a look at a picture.
In the colours of Gryffindor, and I think it was Gryffindor and just one other, was it? I forget.
Yeah.
And I didn't look at what kind of wool it was, I must admit, but I felt them, and it didn't feel like 100% wool, but I think there was some wool in there. But they were I think they were £80 for a jumper, and I just think, my goodness.
That's a lot of cash.
And there were scarves, weren't there?
Yeah.
There were loads of...
They were chained
This
down.
was the most ridiculous thing. There was quite ordinary scarves.
Please ask a member of staff for assistance when looking at the scarves.
You couldn't take the scarves off the rack, to try them on. They were tie racked on, and it said, if you want to try on a scarf, then ask a member of staff. They don't even trust people to put a scarf on.
I tell you what.
Do you get how I felt?
I'll just leave it, thanks. If I want to have a look at a scarf, I don't want to have to request a member of staff's assistance.
No, so we're not criticising the place itself. The actual build. It was fantastic.
The building and the story of the building, and that was the other thing that so many people had said and messaged and mentioned. I got this, the real feeling that lots of people didn't even realise that Hogwarts was a real place,
right?
And it really is. And you go, and actually, that's what you're looking for. Actually, it's the externals, as you've seen.
That's true.
When you stood and you're looking, it's Hogwarts. All you got to do is stick the towers on.
No, they didn't use any of the internals on the Harry Potter, did they?
No, it was places like Cambridge.
They did in Downton.
Yeah.
And we went into a couple of rooms, and I completely recognised them.
But don't worry,
as Brancaster.
And everyone else is going to see those rooms and recognise them too. The only thing we're sorry about is that we couldn't physically film in them for you. But you will see those rooms, and you'll get the story. Yeah. We've got so much today.
We've got a lot.
At the end of the show, it is prize time.
Prize time,
but we'll do it right at the end. So if you didn't enter, don't worry, you won't have to sit through all the prizes.
So we'll do prizes for the Summer of Socks knit along in Endy Bits, and we'll talk about the other knit along that's going on as well in Endy Bits.
I'm so excited, but I can't say anything yet. But I'm so excited about the next knit along we're doing when the Ollivander knit along finishes.
Oh yeah.
I'm like busting. I just want to talk about it, but we can't. It's too early.
When are we going to talk about it?
When Ollivander's finished.
Oh, right, so
because the other one was too cool. It's too cool.
Yeah, October.
Yes,
we'll talk about it.
Absolutely.
It's not far away, really, is it?
No, I want an ice cream.
Oh gosh, doesn't it?
Yes. So I think you should tell us. Do you think she should?
Do you think?
Do you want to say it with me? Kay Jones, what's on your needles?
Well, I'm knitting another hat, and this has been a revelation for me.
Hats, I know.
No.
Knitting them in the round, you don't need to seam them.
Funny. I'm sure I spoke on the last podcast about my aversion to knitting plain fingering weight hats. Well, it's no longer an aversion. Something weird happened, and I'll show you the other one in finished objects, because I did finish the other one. I don't know what it was. I decided to knit the other one plain in the end, because the person I'm giving it to, I know she likes that sort of look. So I thought, right, okay, I'm going to do it. And do you know what? I absolutely loved knitting it. And I think I don't know what it was, whether it was just a combination of factors, and this is why I've cast on another to test the theory. I only knit it was like my bedtime knitting, so I only knit it in bed at night when we were watching whatever we were watching. It was just, I didn't have to think, obviously, you're just going round and round, and normally I find that not enough going on for me, but for some reason I just absolutely loved it. And and each night I was probably getting maybe an inch done, and I've got a hat finished fairly quickly, really. It feels like quite quickly, and I just really, really enjoyed it. So as soon as I finished that one, that was just yesterday, I cast on another one. So I thought, right, I'm testing the theory. And Bryony tried on the one that I'd finished, and she really liked it, and it wasn't quite slouchy enough for her because she's got quite a big head, bless her. So I'll make this one a little bit bigger. But I got loads of yarn out of my stash, and I got her to choose a skein. And this is the other thing, it's brilliant for using those skeins of yarn that maybe
a bit too nice to knit socks with, or you know, for whatever reason you're hoarding them. So I got out this bunch of maybe half a dozen colours, and she chose this one, and it's super fun. So this is the colour that she chose. Isn't it lovely? And it is lovely Michelle's yarn, Dancing Dog Dye Works, and it's her Twist Sock Luxe. So it's 80% superwash merino, 10 cashmere and 10 nylon, 400 yards. And the colourway is Neapolitan Cake, and it completely is. And I cast this on last night, so I've only done a little bit, but you can completely see how it's going to look. It's a 3-stripe, so you've got chocolate, strawberry, and then speckles for the cake. It's like sprinkles, isn't it? And I love how it's knitting up. And so far, I'm loving it again. Completely different yarn. You know, this one's stripy, the other one wasn't stripy. I've got the same feeling I had when I knit the other one, so I'm just in this land of revelation with it, to be honest, at the moment.
Well, that's good.
I know, it's really good. This is, so it's obviously going to have these little stripes. Isn't that going to be such a fun hat for Bryony, I think?
Yeah.
And I said to her this morning, because she's fussy about her hats, so I said, even if you don't want to wear it when it's finished, don't worry, because I'll happily wear it. I think it's just fun, isn't it? Yeah, and I'm knitting exactly the same as I did before. It's on 3mm needles. I've just cast on 140 stitches. The sock head hat, I believe, it's a free pattern, I believe is 144 stitches. So I'm just 4 stitches less. But this, I tried on the one I'd finished, and it was absolutely fine, and so I thought I'll stick with the 140.
What's the base?
It's superwash merino, cashmere nylon.
Right. So that means you can wash it?
Yeah, well, you could put it in the washer, but I never do.
Right. I just wondered if for some reason Bryony didn't like it, then it could always be a gift.
Oh, and it could.
Yeah, cool. You see, it's a project that wins on so many levels.
It could.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I'd have to think about who I wanted to give it to, though.
Yeah, but
because it's so nice.
But what I mean though is, you know, it's a winner all round, isn't it? When you knit with yarn like that, you know that if for some reason the person who you're knitting it for doesn't think it's great, then you know it will always go to someone else who. Yeah.
And the decreases, because my stitch count wasn't quite the same as the sock head, I've just adjusted the decreases that's on the sock head hat to make it fit, which wasn't tricky. So I've written that down. So I've now got my own little recipe, I suppose, for one of these. And I feel like I should call it something other than sock head, because it's not quite a sock head, is it? I need to think of some cute name just for myself. So yeah, so that's my first little project, and I'm loving it. So Dan Jones.
Yes.
What's on yours?
Well, I'm going to show you the thing that I've been knitting the longest first, so then we can get on to the stuff I started last episode next. This has been the longest running of all the projects, because I
love this hat.
I feel bad because
it's
last
been
episode.
Neglected.
No, well, it has been neglected, but the reason why I feel bad is last episode there was so many new projects and so many finished objects, and then the next episode it's just not the same, is it? Because then you've got to knit all the new things you've just cast on. It was just, I was on such a high, and then...
Well, you've got to knit what you feel like knitting, really, at the end of the day.
I've knit loads. Then you make me feel bad, because I haven't neglected it. I have knit on it. I have.
You don't have to feel bad.
But I do, though.
You'll finish it.
I bet you do, too. Well, of course I'll finish it, but I know people do when they haven't knit on something for a while. But that, you see, now you've got me into a pickle now, because I knit on this just the other day. But I did knit on it just the other day because I knew.
Don't worry.
I knew I was going to be showing it on the podcast.
It can't. The hat just can't hear you talking.
Do you know what I mean though? You haven't knit on something for ages, and then
you do. You have guilt.
I've got a knit on it. I never used to have guilt.
And I think this is why some people don't have having a lot of different projects on the go, because you get all these feelings, don't you?
I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? How can you feel guilty about not knitting that?
It is crazy, and you shouldn't, but I think we all do.
I got out and I thought, it'll be okay then, because I'll have done half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, and then everything will be okay. Kay says she loves it, so that does make me feel slightly better.
I do love it.
So it's the BB-8 hat with the great Dreams in Fibre hand spun, which
perfect.
is constantly changing and doing all the things that I love, and the colours are absolutely perfect. It's striping as you would want. It's not like pooling.
No.
You're getting nice stripes,
Yeah.
which it does make you think of BB-8.
It does.
Because
I love it.
I've just got through another black section, so I'm now into white, and I'll be going into yellow again fairly soon, I think.
Isn't that grey?
Yeah,
There's a hint of grey.
I'll be going grey next.
Yeah.
Grey next, and then orange.
It's like a burnt orange, isn't it?
Yes. So that is my BB-8 hat, and one day I will finish it.
You will finish it.
No, I know.
Not
But
that we
there's
need
just-
it right now. We're in some
No.
strange Indian summer.
We absolutely are. Should I tell you the other thing? And I don't want to go into too much detail on this, because then I'll start talking about what we're going to do in the knit along. So I've had to knit on other projects.
Why?
Well, I'll find out when we start the next knit along. So I think we should find out, Kay Jones, what else is on your needles.
Let's do this one next, because this is very exciting. And look at the cute bag that I pulled out of my bag stash. Isn't that cute? I had this made, it's Knit Run Dig is the shop, and she made this for me. Gosh, it must be 2 or 3 years ago now. It's before I was sewing. I asked her to do a little custom Halloween bag for me. So cute. So I thought it seemed appropriate as we're coming up to that time.
What time? Halloween.
Halloween.
Sorry.
To put the project in here, and it kind of matches as well. So I wanted to start another pair of
Whenever
socks.
you say Halloween, I always think of that disastrous trip we had to Lightwater Valley.
Gosh, yeah.
Bryony doesn't like scary things, and
She was only little. She was like 4, I think.
I don't know why, but
It
we
was for
don't.
her birthday.
Yeah, but I don't know. Oh, do you know what an idiot?
What have you done?
Well, nothing. Right, that was so. The yarn that I'm knitting with was dangling down there, and I pushed it up like that, and I saw it through the hole, and I thought, oh no, what have I done? I haven't done anything. It's the yarn I'm knitting with.
No, we took Bryony.
Train that blew
Oh,
it.
it was awful. Bryony's birthday, as I think, well, you might not
thinking
know,
about it.
but it's the day before Halloween. And one year we thought, what should we do? Because when they're tiny, they don't even really know it's their birthday, do they? But I think she was going to be 4, so we thought, right, let's take her somewhere and do something nice. So we decided to take her to Lightwater Valley, which is like a theme park, but it's an old theme park. It's been around for years, hasn't it?
Yes.
Not too far. It's near Ripon in Yorkshire. So we thought, right, we'll go there. Well, honestly, it was all, we never thought, it was all decked out for Halloween, and at the time she was terrified of anything to do with Halloween, weren't she?
Yeah.
Which you can understand when you're little, there's scary faces and skeletons and everything. And there was a little train, which would have been really nice to go on.
Yeah, because she didn't want to go on anything.
No,
she was like
she
scared of
didn't want to
everything.
go on anything.
She ended
was
up just going in a
scared.
sandpit.
She just went in this huge sandpit in the end for like a couple of hours, and then we went home, had some lunch and went home. I mean, it was a bit of a disaster.
But we thought, oh, she'll love going on the train, because she loves things like that. So we go and stand on the platform.
Train pulls up, and there's this massive, scary ghost.
I think it was a skeleton, wasn't it? Attached to
Zombie,
the front or something.
skeleton, whatever thing, right on the front of the train. Well, she just totally freaked out, didn't she?
Yeah,
She
it
was
stinks.
terrified, so that was disastrous. But anyway, she likes Halloween now, doesn't she? She likes the idea of Halloween.
And back
She's
then,
never
of
wanted.
course, she called it Allerton.
She couldn't say Halloween, so she said Allerton. Yeah, she's quite cute. So I wanted to start another pair of socks for Dan, and I've got several balls of opal. I wanted to knit him an opal pair because they seem to wear really well for you, don't they?
Yeah.
And I just love opal, and the colours are lovely. And I was going to use one of those, and then I remembered that a month or so ago I bought just a white skein of opal, and I'd also got some leftovers of a cream from edging one of my blankets, and I thought, oh, maybe I'll dye that skein up. So it's an opal yarn, but I thought I'll dye it. So that's what I did, and I thought, right, I'll dye a coordinating just mini skein for the heels, so that I can have a different colour for the heels. So I went to my dyes, and I just pulled out a load of dyes. I think I used about 8 different colours of like autumn tones that just made me think of autumn, and I just had a go at dyeing some yarn, and it came out, I think, really, really nicely. This is actually opal yarn, but this is how it came out. Look at that. I'm really pleased with it. So you can see all the lovely colours. There's 2 different shades of orange, there's russet, there's brown, there's burgundy,
there's a teal, there's a bit of grey, all sorts of colours in there that I sort of put in. And I'm really happy with how it came out. And I started the socks yesterday. I wanted these for something particular this week that we're going to be doing. But I thought, right, I'll get them on the needles. And I only intended just casting on and doing a couple of rows. But of course I wanted to see what it looked like. And I really like it. So this is the start of the sock. Hold it the other way. The colours are not coming out quite exactly, but it's kind of near enough. Ooh, isn't it pretty? And it is doing this kind of swirl thing, if you can see. Can you see there's like swirls of the browns are together and then swirls of like the blues and sort of reddies colours are together. That's the other side. But actually, oops, trying to hold it straight. I'm okay with that. I don't really consider this to be pooling as such. Pooling to me is where you get the clumps of like solid colour, you know what I mean. But this I like, and I'm glad I'm going to put in the contrast teal. I dyed up some of the teal, just plain sort of tonal teal, you know, to pick up those little pops of teal that are in there. And I'm glad I'm going to do that, because then I can be sure that the swirl is going to maintain all the way down. I think if I'd have just carried on and done the heel flap in this, it might have done something a bit more weird. So I'm really happy with it, and I decided just in my head to call this colourway, what did I decide? I went through all sorts of things, but I think I decided to call it Autumn Knitting by the Fire, because, you know, you're knitting socks by the fire. Dan thinks that's a totally rubbish name.
No, I don't, but as soon as I saw that, it made me think of autumn leaves.
But there's blue tones in there as well. I don't know, I suppose it does look like that. I mean, I could, you know, that's just the name I kind of gave it in my head. I could obviously change the name in my head. That's the sock so far. So I left it at that point because I thought, right, stop knitting because this is for something particular, like I say, this week. So I wanted to have that on the needles. So I love it. And of course it's opal yarn, so it's super nice. So I think I'll do that again, you know, dye up opal yarn for Dan, because that works really well. And they'll definitely, because I'm doing contrast heels, I'll have some left over, which is always nice to put into blankets. So loving that. And I'm just doing it 2.5mm Chow Goo circulars, 72 stitches.
So I had an interesting conversation with Nana Wendy.
Did you?
About circular needles.
Oh gosh.
Where she said, how can circular needles be wood or metal, because then they wouldn't go in a circle? I said, the needles aren't circular. I can't even say it. The needles aren't circular, you know. It's the cord behind, that's what makes it circular. And she's like, well, no, she was absolutely adamant.
She's got a pair.
Yeah, I know. She was absolutely adamant that circular needles were round. And that's how you knit in the round. And
how can it be round unless the needle is flexible as well?
Well, that's what she was saying.
She thought the needle was flexible.
She was implying that the needle had to be flexible. She said, well, it has to be plastic. They must be plastic needles. There's no way that Kay would have sent you plastic needles.
Well, such a thing doesn't exist.
No, I know.
Where the needle is bendy itself. The needle tip.
More the fact, I mean, if you were sending her needles, what would you have sent her?
I sent her some like this.
Like this?
Yeah.
I said that to her.
I sent her a hat knitting, because she wanted to knit a hat in the round. I had shown her how to do it once, but she'd obviously, forgotten. I sent her a pair of Knit Pro Symphony 16-inch.
Right. She said they're 4.5mm.
Which is the same as that, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, and she's going, they're so thin.
They're not thin.
Well, I know, and she got me in a total muddle, because, I know I'm not particularly clever, am I, when it comes to things like this, but I do know when it says 4.5mm on the side.
Well, I sent her those, and I think I sent her a skein of worsted weight yarn as well.
To knit with?
I think so.
Right.
Or there will be some in all the yarn I've given her over the past, recent times.
I mean,
I've given her bags of yarn, and I'm sure she said
she's like the Somerset stitchers all come round to raid her yarn stash. Yeah.
Well, but she doesn't know what to do, and they do have very short tips, don't they? Hat knitting needles. It's not a long tip.
She's now started. She's given up knitting in the round because she couldn't work out. She just thought she was going to end up with a massive tube.
Well, it would be effectively. That's
well, no, if she follows the pattern.
The problem is, Dan, you've got to do decreases at the top of the hat, and she won't know that she has to transfer to DPNs for the decreases and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's why knitting flat is probably a better option for her.
It's what you're used to, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Yeah.
But
Jackie could show her how to just knit hats flat, because that's what she does, you said.
yes. Hello, Jackie, if you're watching.
Hi, Jackie.
Jackie's now knit about...
Teach Nana Wendy how to knit
50.
a hat flat.
Well, no, I think Nana Wendy knows how to knit one flat because she
Right.
started knitting it flat now.
Oh, has she? Right,
Yeah.
okay.
So she's got, and she's saying she'd got... But then it worried me because she's saying, oh, the needles are really big.
Oh, really
And
long like this?
No, I was getting the impression that they were like the ones you showed.
Really thick?
Yeah, but then I thought, no, they can't be. But we'll see, because we're going to see her in October. So, look, I'm onto the pattern.
Oh, it's lovely,
It's
isn't
the
it?
Speargrass, and if you're talking about autumn projects,
Yeah.
this is the ultimate autumn project.
Isn't it?
And look, I cast this on last episode, and look, I'm into the pattern, so I'm motoring here, folks. I definitely have been inspired. I was inspired to get into the pattern just because, as I've said many times, that I do like to do things a couple of times to really draw it into my head. But the colours, not deliberately,
It's gorgeous.
I've ended up knitting something with colours which suit autumn
Very
brilliantly
autumn.
well.
Gosh, and this colour actually, is this very similar to what I've dyed?
Look at that. How has that happened? Is that the pattern that's made it do that?
Good heavens, look at that. That's unbelievable.
Look, all the way along there. That.
Yeah.
So the pattern has made that happen.
Yeah,
I'm sorry that I keep going on about this.
Yeah.
I just think that looks really beautiful,
It
don't
does,
you?
and Susie designed it for handspun.
Yeah.
But look at this, look at this.
Of course, Speargrass, Susie Gawley.
Look at that.
And the yarn we're giving away, aren't we? Yes.
We
So
are.
one of the prizes later on is the biggest skein of
It
most
is.
amazing yarn you've ever seen. So this is some of Red Stick Fibers
Red
yarn.
stick fibres.
And it's dyed by Mosaic Moon, and it's Polworth and silk.
Yes.
85% Polworth.
Yes, and it's like a
15% silk.
worsted weight. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's Doctor Who's scarf.
It is, and it is an absolutely lovely hat to knit. The yarn's great, but I really do have to say that I know I went on and on and on at the beginning of this year about trying to find the new bankhead. Well, it's brilliant, this.
It's
It's
lovely.
really brilliant. The way the hat's designed and the way it flows, and it fits in. I'm telling you, it fits in with the musical theme because my brain was trained at a young age at music college to accepting musical phrases, and that's how these patterns work. And I'm telling you, that is why the bankhead goes in with you guys, with everyone who knits it. I just think Susie Gawley has a way of writing patterns which is rhythmical, because why else would these appeal to me in such a
True.
way?
Yeah.
And
Can I have that for Christmas? Will you wrap it me up for Christmas?
yeah, okay,
Thanks.
okay.
Why do you say it like that? Were you not going to give me that one?
Yeah, well, I was, but
But what?
well, it's like an autumn hat.
Well, it doesn't. It's got reds and golds in it,
Okay,
and it's really thick.
okay, so it'll be two.
I think that'd just be lovely to have at Christmas.
Right. So I haven't really held it up properly, so I should hold it up so you can have a proper look and I can do a close-up. And
It's really
you
lovely.
can see, when Susie said, because she sent a message a while ago when I was doing the other one, which has become a gift. She said that she designed it for handspun. And at the time, I was thinking, well, I can't quite work out how or why, because the way the design works, you would think it's screaming out for a plain or a tonal
You
yarn.
would, yeah, but because
actually, look at it.
yeah, because the
Look at
lace,
it.
the lace makes it go like this effectively, doesn't it? You couldn't see what I was doing like this, and so the handspun, the striping in the handspun goes in a wave, so it works really, really well. It's
I love it.
I'm so happy, so enthusiastic about it. It's lovely. I love it.
So
and when it's blocked as well, you'll be able to see that even more.
yes, and my mission this time, I think it's going to be harder with more variegated handspun. But before I got the holes like dead on, didn't I?
Yeah.
You could hold it up. Will I do it a second time? You'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
So Speargrass hat,
Yeah.
amazing red stick fibres, Polworth,
All right.
K. Jones. What else is on your needles.
Okie dokie, I'll bring over my baskets.
Is it blanket time?
It's just a little bit of a blanket update. Blanket cushion blanket update. And I'm using, because now the Summer of Socks Knit Along has finished, my basket that I was using for the Summer of Socks Knit Along has now become my blanket basket. So that's brilliant. I'm very happy about that. I've finished something that you can probably see behind us anyway. So I've started a couple of new blanket related things. So look, it's in my lovely basket. So I've started another blanket cushion, as I call them. So this is my blanket cushion, and this time I'm using all sort of mid-tones and lighter shades. If I tip my basket up, there you go, you can see into it. I've just gone through all my minis and pulled out all the ones that are kind of mid-tones to lighter colours. Nothing too dark and nothing too primary colour bright. So I just cast this on the other day, and Bryony chose the very first square, which was this one here, and this one is one of the, I've got the thing here actually, one of the Beatrix Potter mini sets from lovely Diane at Elm Tree Yarns, and I've used the one that's Mrs. Tiggywinkle. So this is this one, which is kind of blues and a pinky reddy sort of colour and brown tones, really, really pretty. And then this one is a new yarn that I bought the past couple of days. Stylecraft have just started doing sock yarn. It's very, very well priced. I think it was £6.49 for a 100 gram ball. I got mine from Wool Warehouse. It's a 75/25 superwash wool and nylon, and all the colours are mountain names. So this one was Olympus, and it's these shades of pinks and oranges, which I really liked. It knit really, really nice. Didn't have any, I thought, oh, I'll just knit a square because I just wanted to see what it knit like. It was lovely. I didn't have any problems. I'd quite happily knit socks with it, or a sock head hat. Now obsessed. So I've just done 2 little squares, the start of that one. So that's going to be another cushion.
Lovely.
You don't sound thrilled.
I am thrilled.
Oh, right, okay. So that's another cushion. And then I started another block on my Disney blanket.
Oh!
I know. And I'll just show you the other block in case you didn't see it on the...
Are you doing the Force Awakens block?
Yes, I'm doing that next.
Oh. But you're not doing it now?
I'm doing it next after this one.
Yes,
I'm doing
yes,
now.
yes. So.
And I've got a couple of minis coming from somebody lovely.
Oh.
Which are specific Star Wars dyed minis.
Nice.
Very excited.
That is very exciting.
Yeah, so this was my first one, and this was Toy Story.
Didn't she do well?
Yay! So that's my
That
Toy
sound like
Story.
Brucey.
That's my Toy Story block, and it's been folded, so it's now got fold lines. I should roll it.
No.
I know I should roll it. I will
If you
do
steam
that.
block it, that'll get rid of it, wouldn't it?
It'll come out once it's, to be honest, when it's been laid flat. I'll roll it now. Oh, look cute, a little roll. And I've started the next block, and Bryony wanted me to do
It's like
froze.
one of Bryony's teddies is going camping.
What?
That looks like what they'd sleep on. They'd roll it up, stick it in the
yeah.
back.
Bryony wanted me to start the Frozen one next. And of course this one I found a bit more tricky because I've never seen the film, and she wouldn't watch it with me.
Because she doesn't like the film.
Because she doesn't really like the film. She likes the characters, doesn't really like the film. So I was like, right, okay, I can't watch the film. So I just looked up images.
I think she finds it boring,
Yeah,
the
I think
film.
she does, yeah. So I looked up images, just of the particular things. So the ones that she chose to put in are Anna, Elsa, Hans, Olaf, Sven. Is that how you say it? No, Sven. How do you say that?
Sven.
Sven.
You're pronouncing it like Bryony does. She goes, Seven.
That's why
She sounds like Len Goodman. 7.
Yeah, that's why I said it like that, because that's how Bryony says it. Christoph, Marshmallow, whatever that is. The Palace, the Ice Palace, a Love Troll. Oh, that's it. That's 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, the Love Troll was the last one. So I've done two blocks on this so far. So this one here is, who is that? I've got to look. That is Hans.
Yeah.
That's
it
Hans,
is.
and it does. I mean, this one I think is one of the Muppet colourways. And then I put in some grey because he had like a grey jacket on. And then this one is actually the Ice Palace. Now, I looked up images of the Ice Palace on, just Googled images of it, and a lot of the images were from the outside. I mean, you have a look for yourself, or you've seen the film, obviously. Or from the outside, showing the palace like in the distance. And it was like just like the entrance to the palace was like an icy blue, but then it was lots of tones of purples and pinks, and the sky was pink. So I've gone with that, and even if this doesn't really look like the Ice Palace, I think it's a pretty square. But I think, it's as close as I could get it, not seen the film. So that's the 2 blocks I've done so far, and the next one I'm going to do is Christoph is the next one, which I think he's like just sort of browny sort of colours, and I think there's a bit of red from memory. So that one's on the go as well, and I'm using these lovely needles to knit this one. I just love these.
They're not the ones we made.
No, I made some needles. Oh, I need to show you the ones.
That was a very strange experience. Going at a pair of needles with a hacksaw.
I made some needles.
It
How
felt
funny is this?
decidedly
And
wrong.
the reason I made them is because I've been knitting with these lovely signatures. These are the 7-inch signature straight needles, and I've got the midi point. And these are 2.75 mils, and these were a lovely gift. I just love them. I'm just so lucky to have all these fabulous friends. Thank you so much. And I love knitting with these. And previously I've just been using 6-inch DPNs, as I think a lot of us are. And I really love this extra bit of length. So I thought, do you know what I could do? I could buy an 8-inch pair of wooden Knit Pro double points, chop off the end, and then make an end somehow, like, these have got a lovely end on. So I did that, and I think actually it's a bit amateur, but they're working really well, and it's kind of cute. So I bought some 8-inch just Knit Pro Symphonies double points. I got Dan to hacksaw off an inch of the end. I chose the ends that were pointiest to keep, because Knit Pro, I love Knit Pro needles, but they are a bit inconsistent in how pointy the tips are. So I chose the pointiest tips to keep, and then I got some of Bryony's Fimo. Do you know the clay, the coloured clay that you just bake in the oven? And I made some little ends, baked them in the oven, and then glued them on. So look, so I've made myself some little cute, they're like substitute signatures. Not quite the same, is it really? But, I've now got a similar needle to knit the other one, so I thought that was just cute.
What do you use those for?
Knitting my blankets, the mitre square blankets.
Right.
These.
And that would be the only thing that you would use that for?
Well, these?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's the only thing I would use it for, I think.
What else could you use it for? I'm just interested.
Dishcloths.
Oh, right.
Brilliant for dishcloths. Smaller, actually, what I would probably use them for is the little cotton rabbits patterns. They're all knit flat.
Right.
I would use them for that because all the pieces are small, and that would be really cute to use them for that as well. So there are several things you could use them for, and it's just cute to use them. It just makes the whole experience a nicer one, I think. So so that one's on the go. So when I've finished the Frozen block, that's when I'm going to be doing the Force Awakens after that.
Have you planned out the other blocks too, or are you just going with it as you go?
No, I'm just doing whatever one Bryony wants me to do next, really.
And how many blocks are going to be in the blanket in total?
Well, I don't know.
And this is a blanket, yes?
This one's a blanket, yeah.
Right.
This is for Bryony, and this is more like something that I think she might like to keep,
Right.
and just pass down to her children, maybe. It's that kind of...
Because do you know where I'm going with this?
No.
Is she going to run out of ideas?
No.
Right.
When we first came up with the idea, she wrote this whole long list of Disney films.
Oh, right.
So I'm not going to run out of ideas. My last blanket like this, I did 12 blocks. And that was kind of a good lap size. But so I think it needs to be a little bit bigger than that. It's a very fun project to do. And I just knit it when I feel like knitting one. And it is very, very fun.
Do fun projects move faster than not fun projects?
Well, yes, because you want to knit it.
And what makes a project fun?
Well, it's different for everybody, isn't it? But for me, I like things that are fairly quick and involve beautiful yarn, lovely colours, something interesting going on. So even though the mitered squares are they're all the same, you know, you knit the same thing over and over and over. It's a very instant gratification thing, and I really love that. I love that feeling of, you know, you sit down, half an hour later, you've finished something. And I just find a square.
Oh, just one of the little squares?
Yeah.
Right.
It takes me about half an hour, I would say, to knit one of these. Something like that. If I sat and I knit quick, you know, you can knit quick, can't you, if you need to.
Right.
But generally, this one's 45 stitches. My the other one, the blanket cushion, is 43 stitches. This one's just slightly bigger.
Right.
But I love, with this one in particular, the Disney one, I really love putting the colours together and working out how I want each square to look. And it's just...
Do you sketch it out before you start?
Yes.
So you think these colours will go well there and they'll match that, and you don't just go, right, okay, these are the colours and we'll just bang it down.
No, I've planned out...
Right.
Gosh, I've used Susie Gawley's crochet pattern to scribble this on. Sorry, Susie.
So many uses.
I was looking for a spare bit of paper and I just grabbed it. So I planned out the little block here, and then we listed down the characters, and then Bryony wrote how she wanted the block to look, you know, where she wanted each character to be.
All right, okay, so there wasn't really any thought with regards to would that match that and would this work with that?
Not particularly. And right. I mean, I'm checking as I go along that there isn't a similar colour. If there was two very similar blocks,
you'd move it.
I would move it.
Yeah. And just not tell her, she'd not even realise.
She wouldn't even realise, no. But those, you know, the start of it worked absolutely fine. So.
And did you do the other block exactly the same way? You followed the same process?
No, I think I just decided on that one where to put the...
Oh, so what? How come she got involved in the deciding where things went? Did you just ask her?
She just wanted to.
Oh, right.
It was just, we were just doing it together, and
right.
She just enjoyed, because we picked all the yarns out. She helped me choose all the yarns out of all my minis, and then we sat down and she told me the characters that she wanted in it, because I didn't know what she was talking about. Mr. Marshmallow, no clue. It's like a big snow... it's like an abominable... I can't say that word.
Abominable? Abominable? Oh, right. Now
I'm not going to say it again
abominable.
Because I cannot say it.
Abominable.
Are you writing that down? No. Like a yeti.
Trust me, that
it's
word
like,
is now burnt into my brain.
He's like a spiky yeti, is the marshmallow.
Right.
That's just from the picture that I've seen.
Look at that.
This is amazing. I'm mesmerised by this.
So there is one side, and there is the other side.
Isn't it fabulous?
And there is the edge.
It's really good. Are you pleased with that?
Well, I'm more pleased than I was.
Right.
It's getting better all the time. You know, it's like practice. This edge, and I don't get this, right? This edge I've always been more happy with. So what's the problem? Why is the cast on edge
different to the other one?
Yeah. And why is the cast on edge, you know, if you just look on the sides...
Maybe it's the same kind of theory as to why one gusset corner on a sock looks different to the other one.
Right. It's just weird that it seems to be flowing up the side. One side looks really good. So this is Queen Mary's scarf. It's the Pinot #1. The yarns... Piano. No, I'm going to call it Pinot, because that's what I do.
I'm so sorry, Nathan. I can't train him.
So this is the Pinot #1. It's Queen Mary's scarf because, of course, this is the Rose Garden at Bolton Castle, where Queen Mary was held captive, and she used to love walking through all the roses.
It's amazing.
And Kay dyed up the yarn, which is lovely one, is Queen Mary's Rose, which is just
We're very pink
gorgeous.
today, aren't we?
Yes, we matched.
We're very...
Do you like it?
We didn't do that on purpose.
It's lovely. You may not have.
Oh, right, okay.
And this is Rose Garden Green, which I really love. The yarn is just perfect. It's like a mixture of... And it doesn't always happen, does it? Where you get a mixture of perfect yarn with perfect project, with perfect mental buy-in. Kay was just talking a minute ago about projects that she enjoys. And you said quick, you said beautiful yarns, and you said a project that has meaning.
Yeah.
Those were the things you said. I would agree with...
And I like working with nice needles as well. I can't knit something if I don't like the needles.
I would agree with 2 out of the 3 there.
Right. You're not bothered about it being quick?
No.
No.
In fact, I want the opposite. if I have a project that I'm enjoying, I don't want it to be quick. I want it to be slow.
No, I don't feel like that with the blankets or the cushions, though. I don't mind those taking a long time because I don't know what's different about those.
Right.
But I think when it's...
I think there are different types of knits there, and I think it's an interesting point, isn't it? Because I think that then comes down to whether you're a project-driven, finished object-driven knitter, or whether you're a... What
product or...
Thank you. Process. There we go. Together, we did it. I'm definitely a process knitter. Definitely. And what's so great was when Nathan was here and, we were able to talk about what the right next project was. It's a bit like speaking to a therapist, because you could say, well, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for something that lasts longer and that, we could really drill down on.
Yeah, and he just said, right, okay,
what
you
needed.
need a scarf.
And, he was able to say, because if someone had said to Kay or to me, do a scarf, we'd have just gone, no. Because you just think, oh, it's going to be huge. And
I might have to knit a scarf because I've got a friend who lives very locally actually to us here. She's Gingerbread Girl on Instagram. It's Carol. She's got the cutest dachshund you've ever seen in your life called Monty. Oh, he's so cute. And she's just started knitting a scarf, but it's like she's called it a cozy memories scarf. And she wanted to do something other than blankets with all the scraps of fingering weight. So what she did was she cast on, she's put the details on her Instagram, so I'm not telling you anything that, isn't public. She cast on like the toe of a sock. I don't know how many stitches she's cast on, but then basically she's knitting a tube, but it's a scarf. So it's, it's like yours, it's double-sided, but obviously it's not double knitting. Right. So she's just knitting in the round a scarf using all her minis and just changing yarn whenever she fancies it or runs out of that particular mini. And I'm kind of tempted. It kind of in my brain, it's like knitting the hats that I've just been talking about, isn't it? And I just think that would be great bedtime knitting for me. So Carol, I might be copying you. What
I really love about this is, I said last time that I understand double knitting now.
Yes.
But what I've learned from this is, and what I've learned from this yarn is, I should do another vanishing point, and I will.
I was going to say, are you enjoying that as much as the vanishing point?
Yes.
Ah, that's really good.
I am enjoying. Well, it's hard because I'm probably enjoying it more than the vanishing point.
Right.
But the reason is because I'm a better double knitter now than I was when I was knitting that.
Right.
And so that's why I need to do that cast on edge on a vanishing point hat.
It's lovely. Yeah.
The cast on edge that's harder than chemotherapy. I can't believe I said that, no. But I stand by what I said.
Oh,
I've been through it. That was more stressful.
Oh, stop it.
Also, as well, what I like about this project is it's the first time I've ever knit anything when I'm looking at it and thinking, I can't knit that.
I know.
Someone else did that. What I love about it is, and I'm sorry that I'm obsessed with this, and I'll just say this and then I'll shut up, but I really like the gauge.
Yeah, you've got it's a very, very even tension. I mean, it's amazing.
Because I do the same thing every stitch.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the tension.
I get the same little tug.
That just looks amazing. I just, look at that. Every time you knit a bit of an evening, I'm looking across like this and I just think, God, that's amazing.
I warn you, there is a monster growing inside me, right?
To do what?
To be a really, really, really good knitter.
Oh, gosh. Well, you are a really good knitter.
No, I mean really good.
What have I created when I showed him how to cast a hat on all those years ago? I don't know.
Not that long, really. I'll show you a mistake I made. I knit that too long. So I went one row too many. And I looked at it and I thought I could think back. But then I thought, actually, if I just mirror it there, and then I'll also mirror it right at the other end of the scarf. So when I finish it in 4 years. But look, come on, that is like 3 weeks work. Well, if that's 3 weeks work, it's not going to take me 4 years.
No.
It's going to take me 3. So I'm going to mirror it there, and then there I've done it normal. And do you know what? I think I do actually quite like that slightly thicker. I've probably blown the whole piano design thing, but
why?
Well, I don't know. You just think it doesn't matter because it looks beautiful.
Yes.
What else is on your needles?
I think I spoke on the last episode, I'm sure I did, that I fancied knitting a hap shawl. Yes, I'm sure I did. And I was tinkering with the idea of designing one, but then I started a different design project. So I thought, no, I've realised that my brain can't handle more than one design project at a time. So I decided just to, I previously bought 2 hat patterns. So I thought I'm just going to cast one of those on. And the one that I've decided to do is by Goodwin Johnson, and it's the Hansel, but I'm just doing the half version. So I suppose technically it's not really a hat, is it? Because a hat traditionally is a square, and then with a an old shawl, feather and fan border. But I don't have the need for a big square shawl, so I'm going to do the half version. So it's this one. It's on Ravelry. It's paid for pattern on Ravelry by Goodwin Johnson, and it's, if you just put Hansel, it comes up, and it's really, really pretty. And I decided I've had this yarn hoarded for a little bit, and it just seemed perfect time to use it. I'm using my Blacker Swan Falkland Island wool. It's Falkland Merino, and some of it is spun with some Shetland in there as well, I think. Worsted spun merino with Shetland. But it's incredibly soft, and I've raved about this yarn several times. This is the Blacker. It's beautiful, and I'm using the 4-ply. They do a DK version. When it says 4-ply and DK, just be aware that I personally think they're actually heavier than a 4-ply and a DK. I think the 4-ply is more really like a sport, and I think the DK is more like a worsted. But that's just my personal opinion, and it obviously doesn't affect anything. And it's beautiful, beautiful yarn. So I haven't done very much because I'll tell you why. But I've cast it on. Look, you knit the garter stitch triangle, and you knit it from the bottom point up, and you make these kind of loops on the edge, and that's where you go back and pick up. So I'm using, for the main body, I'm using Seafoam, which is the most beautiful blue. Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous, this blue. And I've got plenty of this. I think I've got 4 balls of this. It's 190 yards, I believe. Yes, 190 yards per 50 grams. So the centre triangle is going to be Seafoam, and then I have several options for the border. At the moment I'm swaying towards these 4, but this could change. At the moment I'm swaying towards these 4, which I think will be lovely with the blue, but like I said, that may change because I do have some other colours. And I started knitting this. You knit it on 5mm needles. It's quite a loose gauge, but I think that's how it's intended to be. And I'm using Knit Picks Sunstruck wooden interchangeables, which are very nice. I'm missing my Chow Goose. I really, really love the Chow Goose. So I've ordered a 5mm Chow Goo. So I've kind of halted that until I get that needle, because I know that I will enjoy it much more on the Chow Goose. It's not a slippy yarn. It's a non-superwash, so it's not very, very slippy. So I think the Chow Goose will just mean that I can knit that little bit faster, and I know I will enjoy it more. So that's all I've done so far, but I am going to work my way through it, and I'm doing this as a knit along for the patrons, aren't I? So I won't show this very regularly, but when I get to certain points, I'll show you sort of, where I'm up to. And it may be that I decide not to do the actual lace border. Can you see the applied lace border? It may be that I just do the feather and fan and then just finish it off because the Kelpie pattern doesn't have the lace border. So it might be that I do a kind of combination of both of them. So we'll just see how that goes.
I think we should go back to Alnwick Castle.
Lovely.
And take a look inside. Now, sadly, we don't have Percy Weasley to show us around.
Aww.
As we established earlier on, if only we could call in a Hollywood actor to come and show us around, that perhaps would have made up for the fact that they wouldn't let us film. But we're going to explore the story of the Percys. We're going to see some of the stunning rooms that we walked through, and these rooms are where that Christmas special in 2014 at Downton was filmed, and also as well, the story of the Percys is a truly amazing one. we're going to pick up on some of the highlights of that, but one of the things that I didn't really delve into, and it's a period history I've never really read up on, because I just saw it as one great big family squabble, but the Wars of the Roses were a massively important part of English history, and it was one family squabble. It was Henry V's son was a rather weak king. There was something wrong with him, but unfortunately back then physicians couldn't really tell what, and I'm not completely certain. I think they would
physically or mentally.
Yeah. He would just lose it. He'd just be monosyllabic, not say a word for months and months and months on end. And then
I wonder if it's kind of like autistic or
maybe.
something.
Well, but then at periods in his life, he would suddenly spring into life. And be the king that you would hope and want him to be, but then he would just disappear again. And all he would want to do is just sit and pray. Maybe rightly so, certain nobles in the country felt that a change needed to occur. Well, Alnwick was slap bang in the middle of this. And I'm actually reading books at the moment all about it. So it was wonderful for me as well. And, if that sounds interesting to you, if you think, it sounds like it's worth a read, the books are by Con Nicholden, and the books are called The Wars of the Roses, funnily enough, and they're historical fiction. And I'm reviewing it at the moment, actually, on the Patreon Only podcast. So let's head back to Alnwick Castle for a tour of the inside of the house, and we'll learn all about the Percys. So we'll see you later.
Welcome back to part 2 of favourite places to knit. Yes, in part 1 we explored the locations of Harry Potter and we learned all about this castle. Now it's time to learn all about the Percys. And did you know that the next Earl, the Earl in Waiting in 2011, was romantically linked to Pippa Middleton?
Really?
Yeah, they shared a house together, but nothing came of it. It seems, from what I've read, that he's quite a nice chap. He's a very sort of level-headed, doesn't particularly like attention type of chap. But he looks very nice. He's redhead. Yes.
We like a redhead.
We do. They're all nice. So we're going to go inside. We're going to explore the inside of the castle and see how it stacks up with places like Chatsworth. I'm totally. Now we have been in once before.
It's a different kettle of fish.
It totally is. I can't remember anything about the inside of here.
No, I can't. We have been in, like Dan says, but I can't really remember.
Yeah. So let's head off inside and let's find out about the Percys.
And so at last we make our way into that grand castle through the gateway, and it's here again that you will notice certain locations that are reminiscent of Harry Potter, because this area here, in certain changeovers between lessons in the first Harry Potter film, in The Philosopher's Stone. And it's not surprising, because architecturally this is utterly stunning. This was built by Henry Percy in the 14th century, and it is the main way into the house, which we're going to start to explore right now. As we make our way into Alnwick Castle, we're greeted with this grand staircase. Can you imagine who's walked up these steps over the last 1,000 years? Successive kings of England, queens, and noble knights all would come to pay homage to the Percy family, and this is the tower that we're now climbing. As we make our way up, I'll tell you more of their story. From the day they bought the castle, successive earls found themselves at the heart of government. Why? Because the King of England paid the Earl of Alnwick to protect the realm from the Scots. That money bought an army, and that army had to be respected. Now, we're going to start exploring some of the rooms, and this is the stunning library. There's so much gold and wood, and it's still used today as the family sitting room, and there's actually papers on that table there that you can see. Now, this is a different angle, and a room so resplendent in glory, it's no wonder that Downton Abbey used it in their filming of the Christmas special, I think from 2014. We're now making our way across from that tower. We've climbed into that church right there, that chapel. Every castle in England that I'm aware of, it always had a chapel. That one was actually built in the 1700s. It was an addition. The actual chapel was medieval and it was in the grounds. So it is very, very lovely when you get inside, and we're on our way up now. And as we head our way up, who exactly were the Percys? Who controlled this castle? Who were the lords of the manor? Well, since their rise to power with the first Earl in 1308 to the present day, they've controlled their seat here in Northumberland. Most earls chose a safe path, and that is fairly obvious in a way, because there's many houses across this country that aren't there anymore because the paths chosen weren't quite so safe, and a few of the earls of Northumberland did perhaps make some odd decisions. Let's take a 200-year period from 1403 to 1750. In that time, only 2 earls died in their beds. Of the others, 3 died in battle, 2 were executed, and 2 were murdered. It's not a particularly good record. Now, this is the choir in the church, and those tapestries at the back they come across quite well on the photo, but they are absolutely stunning. This is just breathtaking, and this was also used in Downton. This is the saloon, and as we explore it in its resplendent 18th century Italian decoration, let's pick out 3 of our favourite Percys. The first, and possibly most famous, is this guy right here, and that's thanks to the Shakespeare play Henry IV Part 1. He's Harry Hotspur Percy. He was born above the gatehouse of the keep, and he was the quintessential English knight. Many argue it was his image that Hollywood movies forged the image of knights we all know. He fought in countless battles, was captured sometimes, always survived, but then eventually did meet his end, rather heroically, in the Battle of Shrewsbury. But of course his name lives on. One of England's top football clubs, Tottenham Hotspur FC, acknowledges Henry Percy, whose descendants own land in the neighbourhood of the club's first ground in the Tottenham Marshes. Amazing, isn't it, how history can lend its name to the strangest of things? And I didn't know that until we'd actually done this bit of filming. This is the absolutely amazing dining room. It's just beautiful, and it used to be lit by 2 candelabras that used to lower down through trapdoors in the ceiling.
Look at that. It's seriously impressive, isn't it? This was a seriously important castle though, so it needed to be huge. They were one of the most important earls in the country, and because of that, many of them ended up getting into bother. One of them in particular was Henry, and he was the 6th Earl. He actually fell in love with a lady called Anne. Her surname was Boleyn. Oh dear, you can see what's coming, can't you? Unfortunately, when Henry VIII showed a bit of interest, Anne, who, according to the history books, was definitely in love with Henry Percy, she was very ambitious. She saw the opportunity to become queen, and so Henry Percy was married off to a lady called Mary Talbot, and supposedly he died aged 35 of a broken heart.
Don't you just love the colours that they use in stately homes? It's the same at Chatsworth. This red is just breathtaking. And here's a cabinet with an interesting story. It was made in 1823, and it was designed to house the ivories the first Duchess of Northumberland collected in her travels in the 1760s.
Oh, that's close. So the 7th Earl was a favourite of Elizabeth I, but he actually pledged himself to Mary, Queen of Scots.
To show his loyalty, he fled to Scotland to help plan a rebellion, but the Scots, always looking for an opportunity, ransomed him back to the English, and the English promptly took him to York and executed, and they actually walked him straight past his family seat here at Alnwick Castle. What a terrible story. Now, this is the guard room, which for many years heard the wonderful stories of Chevy Chase. This is actually the upper guard room, and then we're going to move down into the lower guard room in just a second. Lower guard room is a lot less grand. That's where the soldiers would have spent their time. The upper guard room is where they would pipe in, and that's bagpipe in, the Earl or the Duke of Northumberland. And the tune they played was called Chevy Chase. Would you believe it? I wonder if he got his name from that story. I'm doubting it somewhat. As time progressed, the castle became a stately home, and it began to fit the image portrayed by Downton Abbey in its 2014 Christmas special. This is the household staff at the time of the visit of King Edward VII in 1908. I'm sure we can see all those characters that we knew and loved from that TV show in that picture, but it's the real life versions, and I just love that. And so that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of Alnwick Castle. From its battle-worn beginnings to its Hollywood golden age, it sits as proudly in its Northumberland lands today as it did in 1308 when Henry Percy finished his home improvements. For me, it is the living embodiment of the lesson history teaches all of us. Whatever you build on solid foundations will stand the test of time.
Can you believe, Kay, that we have reached the end of our journey on the hunt for Harry Potter?
No.
but we have found him here at Hogwarts. We're walking in his footsteps.
We are.
It's so exciting. And what's next?
I don't know.
Well, it could well be the Railway Children, couldn't it?
Yeah, it could be. Could be.
Yes, yeah. So get excited for the locations of the Railway Children film. Yeah, that'll be in a couple of episodes' time, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah, but we'll see how we go. Who knows? Who knows what's to come? But you can rest assured it'll be fun when it happens. Yeah. We shall see you soon. We're going for a broomstick lesson.
Yay! That wasn't too bad, was it? You got a flavour of what it's like inside the house. Yes. Those were the rooms that we walked through, and the only problem was there was no moving pictures. But for all our disappointment with not being able to film, if you get the opportunity to go, I would advise you to go. Because it is definitely worth the trip.
And the food's pretty good there as well.
Yeah,
actually.
Lovely
Don't
restaurant.
worry about. Take a picnic if you want to do that. But there's a really nice restaurant that we went to that's at like a tree house.
Yeah.
But then there's also a fish and chip where you can get fish and chips, and then I think there's somewhere else you can get pizza.
Yeah,
It's all very nice.
Yeah, it's good. And that's the end of our hunt for Harry Potter. And what comes next? Well, hopefully it is going to be, as we mentioned at the end of the location filming, it'll be the Railway Children.
Oh yeah, fingers crossed.
Yes, but we're just sorting out now.
We need to do all the scheduling, don't we?
We'll do all the scheduling, and then we will preview it in the next episode. And of course, in the next episode, it is the final of Knit or Forfeit. And actually, newsflash for you: after some judges, looking at the last round, 4 of case questions have been you actually got them wrong. So actually, you've only got 6 out of 10. No, I'm joking. I'm trying to find a way of winning.
Right. Okay. Oh.
Help me.
I feel terrible.
Look, I can do it still. I've just got to answer every question right and get a couple without hearing what the...
Well, it's possible.
2 right is possible. But what frustrates me is I set the standard, didn't I, in the episode before where I got everything right. And then she blows me out of the water in the next episode. It's not fair. Anyway, that's for next time. There will be a forfeit, guaranteed, because one of us will lose. And there will, of course, be a grand prize. And we haven't even said what that is yet. So don't miss it.
Oh.
So, because of the prizes for the KAL, there is no What's in Your Sweetie Jar this week.
Right.
So we're straight on to Kay Jones. What's off your needles?
Brilliant. Well, I've got a couple of things plus one other thing. That makes 3.
That's a new way of saying 3, isn't it? No, I've got it. Baldric, if I take 2 beans... and add 2 beans. What have I got? 3. What? And that one.
And that one. Yeah, I've got 2 and that one. The reason I said and one other is because it's not a thing. I've just done a couple of swatches and I'll explain what I'm rambling on about. I was contacted by the lovely people at Black Yarns. They asked me if I'd like to try a couple of their new yarns. So I said, of course, please send me them. That's lovely. So they sent me some little samples and I've just knit them up into swatches. So I got sent...
What else could you have done with them?
It was just a little nugget of each. Yeah. That's fine.
Of course it is.
So I was sent the new... I think these are going to be launched at Yarndale, which is on the 24th, 25th of September. And then they'll be available in their shop after that. I believe that's the timing of it. So the first one was Cornish Tin 2. It's the 11th birthday blend. If you remember, they did one last year, the Cornish Tin. So they're doing it again. The blend is slightly different. This time it's a woolen spun yarn as well, and it's got lots of, every yarn in it is a British fibre, and it's got alpaca, Portland, Saxon merino, Gotland, Jacob, Shetland, Black Welsh Mountain, mohair and English merino. I mean, fantastic. And they do both a 4-ply and DK weight, and they sent me a little sort of nugget of each, and we both had a bit of a knit on this, didn't we? So I've knit up a little swatch. This bottom one is the DK, and then I just carried on in the 4-ply, you know, rather than binding off. I just thought I'd carry on. And the two colours I got sent, the DK weight, the grey one is Levant Grey. It's actually undyed, this one. And then this one is Polgooth Blue, and that was the 4-ply. And they sent me little colour cards, so here's the colours that are going to be available. They're beautiful, kind of natural, earthy sort of tones. Really, really pretty. And it was lovely. I really, really enjoyed knitting with it. If you used, and if you've tried the Cornish tin, the first one, the 10th anniversary yarn, it's very reminiscent of that, but I think this is a bit softer. It's got, you know, it's got a bit of tooth to it. But if you're not particularly sensitive, I think you'll be absolutely fine with it. And it knit up lovely, and it blocked like a dream. You know, this is the thing with non-superwash, isn't it? It blocks so nice, I think. You know, look how, I just think that looks so lovely. And I love all the natural tones in this grey colour. So it was really, really pleasant to knit with. And I can highly recommend it. And then I was also sent some of the St Kilda lace weight. Now this is a limited edition one, as you can see. They've stocked St Kilda lace weight for a while, I think, but it's just been natural colours. This one has been specifically dyed up by Joy at the Knitting Goddess in Harrogate. So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you will know the Knitting Goddess's yarn. Well, she's actually dyed up this particular limited edition. So again, I'll show you the colour card, and these colours are just glorious. If you like jewel toned colours, you're going to absolutely go nuts. These are the colours, look. Oh, aren't they gorgeous? And then there is two naturals at the bottom. And this is the lace weight, but again, it's not like a really super thin lace weight. You know, it's a nice lace weight. I didn't have a problem knitting with it at all, and I'm not a lace weight kind of knitter really, but it was lovely, super, super lovely. So I knit up a little swatch. The colour I got was, gosh, I'm not even going to say this right, Stack and Armin. It's this sort of beautiful jewelly purple here, this one. That's the colour I was sent. And I knit up this little swatch, and the tones, look at that. And I used a 3.5mm needle. I wasn't sure what size to use really, but I thought I'll go with 3.5mm, and I really love the fabric. And I love this. I really, really enjoyed knitting with it, and I can see myself knitting a shawl out of this without any bother at all. It's really, really beautiful. So this is a blend. It's from the Scottish archipelago. Oh, I can never say this word. Archipelago. Is that how you say it?
It's all right.
On the outer edge of the Hebrides, and it's native. I'm not going to say these two sheep names right either. How do you say that? Borere and Soe sheep. I'm really sorry, I don't know that we've said those two right. And it's blended. It's a blended yarn with those two, so it's super, super lovely. And again, it's got, like I said, you know, these are natural. These are, you know, it's proper woolly wool, but I could wear this and be absolutely fine with it. I really, really enjoyed knitting with this lace weight. I thought it was beautiful. Both of those are lovely, and thank you at Blacker for letting me have a little play with those. And like I say, if you're going to Yarndale, you'll see them there, or, you know, they'll be available on their website. I think it's just after Yarndale. So this is the hat that I was talking about that I finished. Ta-da! It hasn't been washed yet because I only finished it yesterday. But there's the lovely hat. Isn't it nice?
It's beautiful.
And I knit it because I wanted some slouch, but not silly amounts of slouch. I knit 3 inches of rib, and then I knit the whole hat to a total of 9 inches, and then did the decreases.
which I've tried it on, and that to me is just a nice amount of slouch. So, and I think it came out so lovely, isn't it? And I used just slightly over 50 grams, so I've got just under 50 grams left, which is brilliant for minis, and you know, just nice to have that little chunk left.
It's nice.
And it was the
She
life.
did a good job.
It was the Life in the Long Grass. Yes, I found the tag. And the colourway was Second Spring, and it's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards. And I loved it. Really, really enjoyed knitting with it. So I could definitely recommend that yarn if you've got some in your stash. Get it knit up, I say. So I'm going to wash this and then pop it away as a gift for Christmas. I finished. That's something else I want to talk about. I finished the cushion. Yay! So that's one side, and then that's the other. So this is the pinky purple. So every square has either got some pink or some purple in it. And I think last time I told you it was bigger than it was. This is an 18-inch cushion pad. I think I said it was 24-inch. I obviously lost my mind for a second. It's an 18-inch cushion pad, and this one isn't feather. It's just a normal, you know, man-made fibre one, because the feather one is kind of bugging us, and I might replace that feather pad that's in the other one.
Yeah, I hate it.
So I think I'm going to be getting a man-made fibre one for the other,
It's like a
for the
goose
big
lives in
one.
the house.
I know, the feathers keep poking out. I should have put a
They're
line.
more than poke out, they fly out.
I know, I should have put like a lining.
You don't expect that
in
though.
it.
I had feather
didn't-
pillows
no.
growing up, and they didn't shoot out of it whenever I put my
No,
head
I
on it.
suppose I didn't expect that, otherwise I would have done it, wouldn't I? And to be fair, I've got another feather pillow, that one that's on the other chair, and that one doesn't do that.
Right.
So maybe it's that particular one. But yeah, that's finished and I love it. Isn't it pretty?
Well, so feather pillows aren't half warm.
Bryony uses it, it doesn't seem
Yeah.
to bother her, so
Maybe she likes having a warm back.
maybe so. So this is for either Bryony's bed, or it might just go on the sofa with the other one. I've not let Dan sit on it the past few days because I didn't want him to squash it before I showed you all. So lovely. So that's that.
Cool. So it's the endy bits.
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
So we won't do the prizes yet. Talk about everything else that you need to. For example, the Ollivander shawl knit along, which is still going on, and it continues until
the end of September.
Wonderful.
30 days after September. 30th of September.
And you have got that right, haven't you?
Yes.
Yes.
I know I got it wrong
We're
before.
not going to have any repeats.
30th of September. So I will close.
I'll keep her straight.
I will close the thread on the 1st of October. So yeah. So if you're part way through knitting it, you've still got a couple of weeks to get it finished and excuse me, and enter it in the FO thread.
Is our next episode on the 30th of September? I think it is.
I don't know.
I think it is. We've got another one before the end of the month, so that's the one where we can talk about the next knit along. That's great.
Right.
Just getting it sorted in my head.
So that's ongoing, and then
Yeah.
I've got a skein of yarn I wanted to show you. A while ago,
This is beautiful.
It was not that long ago actually. I asked, do you know how I used yarn for my Ollivander that was dyed by Deb? Well, I had a hankering to knit another Ollivander, but in a different colourway that I'd got in my head. So I asked her if she could dye me up this other colourway, and she did, and I've got it. And she's actually subsequently listed some in her shop, and I know a few of you have got it. And then I think she did pre-orders, so I'm not sure if the pre-order's still up. So go and have a look if you fancy one, because the pre-order might still be there. And I wanted this colourway to coordinate with her Otterlie colourway, which is the most beautiful blue. It's gorgeous. I've got a skein of it, and I had this idea in my head that I wanted to coordinate that with a skein which had that Otterlie colour in it, plus a couple of other sort of pastel shades. So she did that for me, and I asked her to call it Just Add Magic, which she did. But when I got the yarn, I was like, I kind of want to do a new shawl with this. So I've started a new design with it, and I'm knitting with it at the moment. But she sent me 2 skeins to the other one to use as a giveaway. So this is the yarn. Oh my goodness, look at that.
It's really, really pretty.
Isn't that just so pretty? It's shades of pinks and mint green and this powder blue, and then tiny hints of a lilac as well.
I want to have a baby just so I can knit a blanket with that shawl and give it to it.
With that shawl?
With that yarn, I'm sorry.
It's beautiful, isn't it? I just love it. And this is on her spangle, the silver stellina base. And she's got new labels, aren't they cute? I love them, Deb. So sweet. So gorgeous, gorgeous. And like I said, I'm knitting
I'm doing a design at the moment with this. So this skein I'm keeping as a special giveaway, and it could be that I keep it until we maybe do a knit along for this new shawl design, so it might be a little while. But thank you, Deb, for sending that, and this will be a fantastic prize.
So are we on
Arrival.
to the prizes?
So it's prizes time.
So
You need
if
to have a drink.
you didn't enter the Summer of Socks KAL, what were you doing? No, I'm only joking. If you didn't enter the Summer of Socks KAL and you don't want to see the prizes, then at this point do feel free to leave. But also do feel free to stay and celebrate all the winners who've won. But if you are going, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for the next round of Knit Up Forfeit.
Yep.
If you're staying, let's get on with it, woman.
Let's get on. Now there's quite a few prizes, so I'm just going to plough through them, okay?
And we've shown all the prizes already.
We've shown all the prizes already, but I will just hold them up again quickly,
Right,
just
okay.
so you can see, just to
Goodness.
remind yourself. So we
I
had
should give this my full attention, shouldn't I?
we had 1,210 entries.
Goodness!
Mine was the first. It went to 1,211, but mine was the first entry. So it's 1,210 entries. So I did random number generator between 2 and 1,211.
Goodness me.
Amazing. We've got 14 prizes, I believe it is altogether. So plus we had one extra prize, and I'll do that one first, shall I? We decided, because we went over the 1,000, we were very excited. I thought we're going to give a prize to the person who was number 1,000 on the thread. So you're all now rapidly looking through, aren't you, to see whether you were that 1,000th person. So the 1,000th entry was Jen Holden in Canada, and we decided to just let you choose a pattern, Jen. We will just send that to you. So if you choose any pattern at all that's on Ravelry up to a value of $7 US or thereabouts, we don't mind if it's, a bit above, whatever. So contact me on Ravelry, let me know what pattern you want, and I will send that over.
Congratulations!
Yay! I'm going to tick these off as I've done them. Prize number 1, I'm going to do the pattern prizes first, just so I know where I am. So the first number drawn was number 50. Nice to have a nice early number. And this was Feisty Redhead 3, and that's Tessa in Pennsylvania. So Tessa, you've won one of the patterns that was by, yes, it was Heidi. So you've won a pattern by Heidi. Heidi is H-Nicks on Ravelry, H-N-I-C-K-S on Ravelry. Go and look at her patterns. Let me know which one you want, and I will send it over to her. Next winner, number 1186, and that's Stolen Sandwiches.
Yay!
What a fabulous Ravelry name. These are all your Ravelry names that I'm saying first. Stolen Sandwiches, and that's Johanna in Sweden.
Yes.
So Johanna, you've won one of the patterns as well from Heidi. So again, it's H-Nicks, H-N-I-C-K-S on Ravelry. Go and look at her patterns. Let me know which one you want, and then I'll get her to send that to you. So brilliant, yay. And then the final, this is another pattern. She very kindly donated 3, Heidi. So the third of those patterns goes to number 618, and that's a unique Claire. And that's Claire in Cardiff.
Well
Yay!
done.
So Claire, exactly the same thing. Go and have a look at Heidi's patterns. Tell me which one you would like, and I'll get her to send it to you. The next one, now this is a pattern collection. This is for Mina of the Knitting Expat podcast. She very kindly donated her Beyond Vanilla Part 1
Thank you, Mina.
set of patterns. Thank you, Mina. That's very generous. Person who's won that is number 967, and that's Knit Froggy Knit.
Yay!
And that's Tammy in Colorado. So Tammy, I'll just get that pattern sent over to you. You don't need to necessarily contact me. I'll just get Mina to send it to you. So yippee, well done. And then the next one is another pattern. This one is the Bijou Canoe Sockets, and that was donated by Homesteader Girl. It's Michelle. So thank you, Michelle. Person who's won that is number 1071. That's Faithful Knitter, and that's Katie in Georgia. So well done, Katie. And again, I will get Michelle to send that pattern over to you. Right, that's all the patterns. Next is stitch markers. These from Jenny from All About Yarn. Really, really pretty stitch markers. So thank you for those, Jenny. They have been won by number 148, and that's Mama One Goose, or Mama I Goose, I'm not sure which that is, and that's Cynthia.
Doesn't that say moose?
It does say moose. I can't read. It's Mama One Moose. I'm an idiot. And that's Cynthia in Texas. So they're going all the way to Texas. How exciting.
Wow.
So all of the people...
I'm now singing the Dallas theme tune in my head.
Oh, yeah. So all of the people where I'm going to need an address, would you just PM me on Ravelry, please? Give me your address and then I'll get the item sent to you. So, yay. We're very excited about the person who won this.
And the yarn.
And the yarn. This is the yarn from Zena. Lovely Zena at Little Yellow Luke. And she dyed up this special skein.
Beautiful.
And the person who has won this is Eco Geek.
Yay!
It's number 1020, and that's Benedict in Vancouver. We know Benedict. Yay, Benedict!
Yay!
So send me your address, Bernadette, and I'll get that lovely skein sent to you. Next is this beautiful mohair. If you remember, I showed this recently from a Cookley yarn. Beautiful, beautiful mohair yarn. And this is another person we know.
We do.
This is number 959, and it's Jints65. That's Jeanette in Birmingham. Jeanette! Yay! Jeanette, I might have your address, but send it to me anyway. Would you just PM me on Ravelry and let me know your address? I'll get that sent to you. Right, next is a lovely skein of handspun from Deb at Fondant Fiber.
Ooh!
Is this one,
Oh,
and I'm going
yes.
to, because I've got two of these, I'm going to write your name on the back of these so I know whose is whose.
And I've won that one, haven't I?
So the person who has won this beautiful skein of handspun is number 360, and that's Heather296. That's Heather in Illinois. So brilliant, well done Heather. Again, PM me on Ravelry.
Beautiful
I'll get
socks,
that
Heather,
sent.
as well.
Next, another skein from Deb.
Yeah, I know. Carrier 88. Oh, I've just said it won. Sorry.
He's absolutely useless, isn't he?
Yay, Carrier 88.
I'm going to write your name on the back of that, Carrie. It's number 813, and that's Carrie-Ann 88, and that's Carrie from Bolton. So you've won that one, Carrie. Beautiful. So again, send me your address on Ravelry. Okay, the next one is the lovely Irish yarn, Ellie and Ada. So this absolutely gorgeous skein. Gosh, isn't that lovely? And that has been won by, it's number 437, and that's Hot Pink Socks. And that's Stephanie in Montana. So Stephanie, yay. Send me your address on Ravelry. Next one is this lovely set of minis that came from With Pointed Sticks. It's these gorgeous Cape Cod inspired colourway. This has been won by number 23. I love the early numbers. I don't know why that is, but I was so pleased that an early one, number one. That's number 23, and that's Siberian Cat. It's Penny. Hi, Penny. So Penny in Indiana. Again, send me your address on Ravelry. Next one is the Willy Wonka yarn. So this one came from lovely Elm Tree Yarns. It's the Wonka colourway. So that one has been won by number 68, another nice early number, and that's Rin2103, and that's Catherine in Norwich.
Yay.
So Catherine, send me your address. And then the next to the last one, we're nearly there. This is the lovely mini set that came from Sydney at Kniterature. I never know how to say that, Sydney. A beautiful gradient set. So that one has been won by, it's number 10, another early number, and that's Leela Spencer. And that's Leela in the UK.
Yay!
And then the very last...
Ooh. Who has been desperately waiting to find out who had the biggest...
The biggest stack.
And the biggest stack needs the biggest...
Biggest skein of yarn. So this is Red Stick Fibres, hand spun. It is 8.1 ounces. 314 yards of an Aran weight, 232 grams you've got there of Polworth in the Awesome Sauce. I mean, look at that. Is that not amazing? It is amazing. Dan's very jealous of that, let me tell you. And the winner of the tallest stack...
I want to hold it.
The tallest stack,
Like
and much deserved, I've got to say. This stack was enormous. In fact, it was so enormous it had to become a double stack. And it was a 41-inch stack of socks, 33 pairs, and it was Monica in Norway. And she is Monanica Knits. Monanica. Didn't they once say that on Friends?
Yeah, I think so.
Wasn't she called Monanica?
Something like that, yeah.
So Monica, would again send me your address on Ravelry and I'll get that sent through.
Beautiful. Yes. Well done, everybody.
That's everybody.
Congratulations,
well, that was just amazing.
everybody, for all the entries. It's just amazing. So sorry if you didn't win something.
Yes.
But that's an immense amount of prizes.
It's a huge amount of
hopefully
prizes.
Everyone feels justly rewarded.
So it might take me, a few days next
bear with
week
us.
to get them all sent out. But they will be on their way to you. As soon as they get your address, they'll be on their way within a couple of days of that. So.
And in the next episode, we shall announce the next Knits Along.
Yes.
The way is now clear. So thank you so much for watching this
Yay.
episode of the Bakery Best Podcast. It's been wonderful to spend the time with you.
It has.
And do not miss, I guarantee you do not want to miss the next episode. I shall say nothing more.
Right.
Yes.
I'm excited. I don't know why, but
Be excited. Yes, so thank you so much.
Thank
Have a
you.
wonderful 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Patrons, we will see you as usual next week on Tuesday and Thursday. All the usual things.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
Sitting and knitting.
happy knitting, everybody.
Bakery bears. Enthusiasm's not quitting for Ben and Kate, the bakery bears. They'll take you to fabulous places of which their favorites they'll share. You better buy a pattern and get yourself a bakery bear. You'll find yourself in a castle while watching the bakery bears. It never feels like a hassle to sit and watch the bakery bears. What's on your shelf or what's